This is a Friday Shoes production. It's lesson 9-9 on our books on page 510, and our target is I can construct and interpret scatter plots. What are scatter plots? Scatter plot is a graph that shows the relationship, if any relationship exists, between two sets of data. In this type of graph, two sets of data are graphed as ordered pairs, x and y, on a coordinate plane. Scatter plots often show a pattern, trend, or relationship. That's what you might call it, a trend or a pattern. We call it a relationship here in math, between the two variables. And if you look at the types of relationships, you have a positive relationship. If you plotted your points and you saw that it was increasing from left to right, or as they say, as x increases, y increases, you would say that would be a positive relationship. Now, if you see that it's going down from left to right, as x increases, y decreases, then we would say that's a negative relationship. And if you plot the points and you notice there really is no relationship, we call that there is no obvious pattern, no relationship, and there's no trend there. All right, being able to identify them is obviously the key here. So here's number one. Explain whether the scatter plot of the data for the amount of memory in an MP3 player or an iPod and the cost shows a positive, negative, or no relationship. So let's take a look at this graph here. It looks like on the bottom they have memory, how much memory you get with a particular, we'll call it an iPod, and then the cost of that iPod. Well, you can see that if you just look at it and kind of eyeball it, you can kind of see it goes up, meaning the more memory you get, it looks like it's going to be more expensive. So that's what they state here. As the amount of memory increases, the cost increases. Therefore, the scatter plot shows a positive relationship. This is going from left to right, so we call that a positive relationship. All right, how about two? Explain whether the scatter plot of the date in May and the number of pints of ice cream sold shows a positive, negative, or no relationship. All right, look at the graph. Ice cream sales for 2 weeks in May. So in 2 weeks in May, they've kind of just plotted the points of how many pints of ice cream they sold. And you can kind of see there, it looks like on the first day that they took it, it was about 22, 23, 24, somewhere there. And then the second, they had 10. The third, they had 34, it looks like. And so on and so forth. This doesn't look like there's a pattern here. It doesn't look like it's going up or down or what have you. So what we would say is ice cream sales do not depend on the date. Therefore, the scatter plot shows no relationship. I don't know why that line is through. This shows there. All right. How about you give it a shot? It says, explain whether the scatter plot of the data for time and temperature shows a positive, negative, or no relationship. Here's an easy one. You see as time goes by on the bottom, the temperature is doing what? It's going down. So if you look at it, we would say as time passes, the temperature decreases. So therefore, there is a negative relationship because we're going down from left to right. So we have a negative relationship there. All right, last example here. A line of fit. You can see I've been putting lines on those graphs with those points. So that's what we're going to do here. So a line of fit is a line that is very close to most of the data points. What you could use to represent the data if you didn't have it all scattered all over. You would say, well, here's a kind of a line that shows what it kind of represents. So line of fit is what we call it. Here's an example. Cars. The MPG, miles per gallon rating for a certain car company are given. And they give you the engine size, and then they give you how many miles per gallon, how far you can drive on 1 gallon of gas. So it says, make a scatter plot using the data, then draw a line that best seems to represent the data. All right, well, what do we do first? We're going to plot the points, graph each of the data points, and draw a line that fits the data. So simply, they've done it for you here. Take a look at it. And you can see where they've put all the points, and then they've kind of highlighted a couple that kind of represent, when you connect them, that those two would actually make the line that kind of best fits all of those lines, or out of all those points. What I try to do is match up a couple points so that you have a couple, the data represents the majority of points, and some will be, an even amount will be above, and even amount will be below. It doesn't look like they did that there, but that's a general idea. It kind of goes down in this case. We have a negative relationship here. The larger the engine size, the fuel economy goes down, miles per gallon goes down. All right, how about this one here? It says the approximate number of high school graduates in Texas over a 10-year period are shown in the table. Make a scatter plot of the data, then draw a line that represents the data. Now, I've already made the graph here for you. Just watch how I do it. You would have to make it on your own. I made the graph on the right side here. You can see the actual table on the left, but on the right, the graph I made myself. I started at 1994, went up to 2003 on the bottom, and I started at 160, went up to 250, but that's number of graduates in 1,000. So that's thousands of graduates. And now they just want you to plot each one of these. So we got 1994. I'm going to grab that dot, go to 1994 and go up to 163, which is about right there. I'm going to let it go. How about 195? That's going to be 169. That's about right there. Let's see here. 1996 is going to be 172. That's about right there. And notice I'm just approximating where these go. 197, 182. But I'm starting to see a trend here. 1998, 197. 1999, well, let's go with 203. Then we got 213 for 2000. We've got 215. Then we got 225 and 238. All right. I think it's pretty obvious. If we were to draw a line, that line would look sort of like this. Let me see if I can actually make it look perfect here. All right, so we'd kind of go, I'm going to guess, you pick a couple points here. Let's start right here and go like this. And if you notice, if we picked a couple points, I'm going to just pick those 2 points there. You can see we have a positive relationship. It's passing through a couple points. That kind of represents our graph, the scatter plot. Again, you can always rewatch this video if you need to, or read some of the examples in the book, or look at the personal tutor videos online in our online textbook. And this has been a Friday Shoes production.